With God's help and through the prayers of the Holy Fathers, Holy Sophia Prayer House presents a video prepared on an Orthodox Christian topic. Thank you for your attention, and we wish you a spiritually beneficial and fruitful viewing. Saint Justin Martyr, a word to the Hellenes. 1. Do not think, O Greeks, that I have abandoned your customs without reason or judgment. I have found nothing holy or godly in them, for the works of your poets are full of madness and filth. Even if someone were to address the most distinguished and learned of you, he would be found to be the most blameless of men. It is said that Agamemnon was the first to sacrifice his own daughter, and his brother's excessive debauchery, madness, and unbridled lust helped him. This same Agamemnon stirred up all of Greece to rescue Helen, who had been abducted by a leprous shepherd. When the war was over and the captives were taken away, Agamemnon first took Chryses captive, and then he became hostile to the son of Thetis because of Briseis. Peleus himself leaped over the river, overthrew Troy, and defeated Hector, while Polyxena, your hero, who was a slave, was killed by the Amazons, and then, stripped of the armor prepared by the gods and adorned with a wedding garment, he was sacrificed as a love sacrifice in the temple of Apollo. The son of Laertes of Ithaca earned a name for evil. There was no good intention in him. This became clear when he sailed past the island of the Sirens and cut off his ears because he could no longer hear them. Ajax, a Telamonian who carried a 7-skin sack and who was defeated in a fight between Odysseus's companions, was seized with rage because of it. I do not want to learn such things. I do not abandon such virtues. I do not believe in Homer's tales. The essence of the entire poem is a woman. She is the beginning and end of the Iliad and the Odyssey. 2. After Homer, Hesiod wrote about the deeds and days, but who believes his sceptered theogony? It is said that Cronos, the son of Uranus, overthrew his father's government, seized the scepter, and, fearing that something similar might happen to him, preferred to eat his children. However, the Curetes nevertheless succeeded, kidnapped and hid Zeus, who then put his father in chains, and at the time of the division between the brothers, as is said, he himself took possession of the ether, gave Poseidon the depths of the sea as a share, and Pluto Hades. Then Pluto kidnapped Kore, and Demeter wandered in the desert looking for her son. This tale was more vividly illustrated, literally, raised to the height by the fire of Eleusis. Poseidon brought shame upon the water-drenched Melanites, when he abused the numerous company of Nereids. If we were to list their names, the story would be too long. Zeus, who was very adulterous, appeared to Antiope as a satyr, to Danae as gold, to Europa as a bull, to Leda as a winged man. Zeus's love for Semele revealed, on the one hand, the latter's depravity, and on the other, Semele's jealousy. It is said that Zeus ascended to heaven and appointed the Phrygian Ganymede as his cupbearer. These are the deeds of the Cronos. The famous son of Leto among you, Apollo, who taught men to divine, himself exposed his own lies. Daphne also pursued him, but could not catch him. And although he knew of the death of her beloved Hyacinth, he did not warn her. I will not say anything more about the manhood of Athena, the womanhood of Dionysus, and the harlotry of Aphrodite. Read to Zeus, men of Greece, the commandment against parricide, also the sentence for adultery and the condemnation of child abuse. Teach Athena and Artemis the work of women, and Dionysus the work of men. What honor is there if Dies is armed with armor, and a man is adorned with instruments, crowns, and women's clothing, and is given to orgies with a group of women? 3. In 3 nights Heracles was born, the son of Zeus, praised as the leader of the games, who killed the lion, the many-necked hydra, the furious wild horse, the man-eating birds, who brought the 3-headed dog from Hades, who cleaned the Augean stables, who killed the bulls and the deer, whose nostrils breathed fire, who plucked golden berries from their heads, who made the soul of a poisonous snake boil, and who, for the sake of a certain Achelon, killed Busiris, the murderer of a guest. He also jumped over the mountain to find water, the sound of which he heard from afar. He who was able to accomplish such deeds, like a child, trembled at the sound of the satyr's instruments, and was overcome by the love of a woman, who mockingly stroked his buttocks, and he enjoyed it. Finally, when he could no longer bear the burden of Nessus's shirt, He lit a pyre for himself and thus committed suicide. Let Hephaestus be free from his filth and not be jealous if, as the oldest and lame, he is hated, while Ares, the unfaithful and beautiful, is loved. Thus, O men of Greece, is the depravity of your gods, the inhumanity of your heroes, as is evident from your own dramatic stories, the sins of Atreus, the bedwetting of Thestus, the hatreds of Peloponnese, the bloody revenge of Danaus, the childlessness and drunkenness of the Egyptians, and finally Thyestes' feast, prepared by the Hellenes. As for Procne, she still flies and sighs, and her Athenian sister hisses with her tongue cut out. What can be said about the blind Oedipus, or about his killing of Laius and the murder of his mother, or about the mutual slaughter of his brothers and sons? For I also hate your feasts, your excessive luxury, your delicate instruments that call the people to wild dancing, and your useless anointings and crowns. You cover your shame with so many iniquities, and your depraved minds are filled with filth, because you are accustomed to mixing the impure with the wild. I will also say this: why do you hate your son, O Hellene, if he, like Zeus, ensnares you and makes you his family? Why do you consider him an enemy if you worship his like? Why do you force your wife to live in fornication if you build temples to Aphrodite? If all this had been said by someone else, how much more would Lido have been slander than the truth? But it is your poets who sing of such deeds. It is your traditions that shout about them. 5. Now, O men of Hellenism, share in the unfailing wisdom. Study the divine word. Know the incorruptible king, and recognize your heroes are who sow death in the nation. For our king does not respect the strength of the flesh, nor the beauty of the countenance, nor the ill-considered birth, but only the purified soul, established in the purity, who, under the eternal guidance of the divine word, fulfills the commandments of the Lord, the divine works, when the power of the word extends to the soul. Oh, trumpet of peace for the rebellious soul! Oh, destroyer of terrible passions! Oh, doctrine, kindler of spiritual fire! Neither poets, nor philosophers, nor artistic rhetoricians can do this. Only the power of the word, our teacher, immortalizes the mortal, makes the transient into gods, and leads them from earth to the higher abodes of Olympus. Come and learn. Become like me, for I also became like you. They received me, the divine teaching and the power of the word. Like a good enchanter, Epioidos Agathos in Cantator Paradis, who first pulls a snake out of a hole and then drives away this terrible reptile. So the word drives away from the depths of the soul the terrible passions of the senses, and first of all, the desire, which feeds all kinds of horrors, enmity, discord, envy, division, and the like. When the desire is driven away, the soul is calmed and at peace. It frees itself from the evils that have wrapped themselves around its neck and turns to the Creator, because it must again settle there from whence it came, from which it became what it is. Translation from Ancient Greek. Edisher Kalids. The source S translated by docs.google.com. Apologues for any errors. Hagia Sophia Chapel. May God bless you. Thank you for your attention. You have watched a video presented by Holy Sophia Prayer House. Please subscribe to the channel so that it may become more successful and its work may serve good and beneficial purposes even more effectively. May God help and bless you.